Hello, Stephen White, Steve Arts 89. Just a little video. This is kind of funny. Disney has been making a big fuss recently about some announcement. They have the Disney fan club D23, which has an annual expo, which is the next few days, and apparently there are a lot of things happening with Universal and other theme parks. But apparently Disney's big announcement is that they're doing a documentary series, like a documentary split up into episodes basically, um, about the people that work in the park, the entertainers, the performers, which is nice. It's nice to put the spotlight on them, but it's really not something to get excited about. And I've been hearing stuff for weeks because I'm not a big Disney fan. I've just been following them a bit lately because of a lot of the dramas they've had. And yeah, so this is a really big disappointment for people. People were expecting another theme park or another ride or another land in one of the theme parks or a movie or something. I thought maybe they're going to make an original film for a change instead of just rehashing every classic Disney animated film and making it live action, which seems to be all they do. But no, apparently they're just doing a documentary on the people that work in the park a and a coffee table book. And like, this can't be it. Now, it's the 23rd today. The expo goes for 3 days, so they must be saving something. This must just be one of the first announcements, and the people are just jumping on it for a story, kind of, I guess, like I am. But I'm just like, really? They must have something more than that. I guess I wanted to put my doubt out there first, so then if something does get announced later, I can say, I was right, they did have a big announcement coming. But really, Disney does seem to be very tone deaf at the moment. They have done so many weird things. Not let There was a child recently who passed away, and they wouldn't let him use the parents used Spider-Man on his grave like he wanted. It was actually his wish. Galaxy's Edge originally. This is another thing I just heard. Originally, it was supposed to be. It wasn't set in the original Star Wars time period or universe, really. And a lot of fans, that's what they wanted, and what they got was it's set in the new trilogy, which no one isn't really engaging people. It hasn't caught the imagination of children. It hasn't maintained the interest of older fans. A lot of people. It's just not working for a lot of people. The films have made money, less and less money, and Solo, which is the last one that came out, actually lost money, which no one ever thought would happen. No one ever thought a Star Wars film would lose money, but it did. Um, they just don't. They just do not seem to know what the audience wants, and apparently they've been cooking their books as well, because the talk of Disney's always been the films may do well or not do well, or different projects, but the theme parks have always been consistent and been a money maker, and they do well. But apparently they have been cooking the books. They have people criticizing them for years, actually, that no one paid much attention, mostly YouTubers and stuff. But one of the accountants who worked for the company for 18 years came out and actually made accusations that are being investigated officially. Accusations of them doing so many little things, which all add up, like giving away free gifts and counting them as sales, giving away gift cards, counting them twice, counting them as a purchase, and when they purchase the goods, counting those as well. When some of them were free gift cards given away because someone wasn't happy with something in the park, they gave them a gift card. Putting through gift cards that are $350 and putting them through as $500. And changing the sales tax. Apparently, you tax these items differently if they're put through as different items. So if you're putting them through as something other than they are, the taxman doesn't like that. So, and apparently all these little things, and I can't remember the other examples. There was a good article that went through all the examples of the ways that they were actually, well, a selection of ways that they were cooking the books. This stuff adds up, and the accusations are more almost half of their profits for 1 year were inflated or exaggerated or fake, which would explain, because they apparently, the way they got the money to buy 20th Century Fox and to buy Marvel was basically based on the value of the parks and the Disneylands. So they made them look more successful, so they could buy other properties which they could then use to make films and make money, and then to also include in the parks and make the parks more profitable. So it's kind of amazing to think that they could be this dodgy. But is it all haters? Is it just people making up stories for clicks and wanting attention, or just haters, just disgruntled people who used to work there who've left, or is this real? Now, being that I think we know the model of a business is a sociopath, basically, and the bigger the businesses get, the more successful they get, the more powerful they get, the more evil, the more willing, the more money they make, the more willing they are to step on people and break rules to get more money. We kind of just know this, just through experience with so many other, and just life, we all know this. So I don't think it's that unthinkable that something that started about entertaining people and creating an experience. Walt Disney sat down on a park watching his kids play and wanted somewhere he could take his kids where the whole family could have an experience, not just the children, the parents, and they could do it. And that was the idea of his first park. And he had so many ideas for that were adhered to, including, and this personally bothers me, I don't drink, I've never drank my whole life. My dad was an alcoholic, my sister was an alcoholic, I've never drank my whole life. A couple of times in high school I drank, and when I was 18 I was told you have to buy a drink because you're legal, so I bought like 2 beers and that's it. I've never drank my whole life. So the idea that Disneyland is alcohol free, because of the negative things of alcohol, Walt Disney didn't want alcohol in the parks. They've adhered to that for a long time. But now, because Galaxy's Edge hasn't done that well, they spent $2 billion on 2 different parks, $1 billion each, and they didn't bring in the revenue they thought they were going to. They're doing anything to get people in, and they're letting people drink in the parks and serve alcohol in the because they've been serving alcohol outside of the park for years in some of the restaurants and that, obviously, but in the actual park they never had it. But now Galaxy's Edge is serving alcohol, and I think that's just breaking one of his rules. That's disrespecting Walt Disney. I mean, what is the point? This is Walt Disneyland and Disney World. So I just find that really ugly and distasteful. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but it just, I think they've crossed that line between not caring about their customers, not caring about the legacy, not caring about quality, and just thinking about profit. It's all about profit, and they are getting too big. They are too big, I think, to have any perspective of what they're actually doing. And this is just one person's observation from recent investigation and just looking at the history and the current status. And the other thing, Galaxy's Edge, I didn't finish, sorry. It was originally supposed to be the original Star Wars film era. And then last minute, Bob Iger came in and said, no, I've seen the new film, it's going to be great, everyone's loving it, it's going to make $1 billion. Let's base it all in the new universe so we don't have to acknowledge the old universe, and possibly not pay George Lucas for, supposedly he gets a cut of all the characters, the original characters in the original films, if Disney use them for anything. They've got them, they can use them, but he still gets a cut because he sold the whole thing for $4 billion. There's no way that was done. And I didn't think about this at the time, but when you think how much it was worth, how much the films are worth, they could have made that off 2 films. They could have made that back in 2 films. That's how much George could have made had he released another trilogy. So selling it for that amount did seem massively underpriced. That's because supposedly he's going to get a cut of everything produced from his Star Wars since. So they want to create their own Star Wars, and this is a huge licensing thing that seems to be happening everywhere. It seems to be a new trend in Hollywood. You take an old franchise, you pay for the rights to use it, you ditch all the mythology, all the history, all the canon, make up your own thing, which then you can merchandise, and if it's successful, you get all the money for all your new story, your new products that you've fed to a pre-existing fan base that was expecting something else. Now, if you can give them basically the same thing, I guess it's okay. But if you're not, and it's crap, it's really like the new Transformers. The films are god-awful. The first one was great. The second one had some story problems because Alex Kurtzman was involved, the destroyer of franchises, the rapist of Star Trek. Not literally. That's Les Moonves, allegedly. So yeah, they were going to base it on that, and then he came in and changed it. And it's true, if you look at it, the new planet does kind of look like Tatooine, and the bar kind of looks like the bar, and you can sort of see that they were going for that sort of. I felt like they were going for that sort of feeling still, even though they were creating a new planet. And the reason why they wanted to do that was simply because they can merchandise everything as their own unique creations, not have to pay George for using Tatooine or any of those things. The only thing they use is the Millennium Falcon, and everything Disney has done lately has just been wrong and off. And this last little thing, if this is all they've got, now surely they must have more than this. Surely they must have more than this. I don't believe that's it. But they're saying that is a big announcement, and they've been pumping it up for a few weeks, and it's nice. It will be an interesting look inside the production of Disneyland and the lives of the people there, but it does just seem like PR. It does just seem like, after recently the daughter of was it Ron Disney, Walt Disney's brother, or basically part of the Disney family, the daughter basically did an investigation of the parks after hearing complaints, because she hears from things because she's part of the legacy. She went and investigated, and she found that there was a lot of problems with how they were treating the staff and the pay and all this sort of stuff. Recently, apparently, they had an increase in the pays from the basic base. I think that came up, but that's about it. And there's been a lot of issues, and this just seems to be PR to counter that. It's just like an Office documentary, and that's the big thing. So maybe they don't have the money to actually do anything. So they invested so much money in buying Fox, which they've just trashed. The couple of films coming out from Fox, they've sort of haven't done a good job promoting. They've cut a lot of stuff. They just want the IPs. They just buy. This is the thing I was talking about before. Companies just buy IPs to exploit them, and don't actually care about the art, the films, the actual subject matter, the content, what they're actually buying. They just want to own it and be able to make money off of it, and that's it. And this is just like it's like the current business model or something. And I don't know, it's just really weird and disturbing, the whole thing. Just Disney just seems to be off the mark, and it's a sad time to discover Disney, because I watched like stuff on Disney when I was a kid and that, and I know a lot of people grew up on it, and I've been hearing that, and I've never watched a Disney film except The Lion King, and people were shocked by that, and I felt, well, I need to educate myself. I need to go do the Disney thing, and I thought I'll start off and I'll do some research on the actual Disneyland. And it was interesting, but it's sad now to sort of see that it's compromised. It's not the dream anymore, I don't think. But I don't know, maybe I'm just getting washed away in a sea of haters and people just wanting to get attention and press and clicks from Disney because they are successful, they are popular, and they probably always will be. They're too big to fail, but they certainly have underwhelmed and disappointed and angered a lot of fans and a lot of people recently, and that's not good. So yeah, that's the big announcement and the overall just situation with Disney, which I find fascinating, and we'll see if anything else comes out of this weekend. I'm going to wait till it's all over and just see if anything comes out, and maybe make another video. Sorry, my mouth's a bit dry. Wow, I'm just going to leave it there and we'll see what happens. Thanks, feel free to like or subscribe. Thanks, bye.